Picture this. It's 1985. You're walking down your local high street, and you do something that would get you arrested today. Then you do it again and again. In fact, your entire day is filled with perfectly normal activities that have now vanished so completely they might as well be illegal. Today we're diving into 12 everyday things that every Brit did in the 1980s that have disappeared forever. Not the obvious stuff like Walkmans or shoulder pads. I'm talking about the small, ordinary moments that made us who we were before the world decided we needed protecting from ourselves. Some will make you smile, others will make you realize just how much freedom we've lost. 1. Leaving your front door unlocked all day. Let's start with something that'll make your modern, security-conscious mind reel. In the 1980s Britain, locking your front door during the day wasn't just unnecessary, it was almost rude. You'd pop out to the shops, leave the door on the latch, and think nothing of it. Your neighbors would walk straight into your kitchen for a cup of tea and a chat. The postman would leave parcels just inside your hallway. Kids would run in and out of each other's houses like they were extensions of their own homes. Mrs. Jenkins from next door would water your plants while you were at work, and you'd do the same for her. Can you imagine doing this today? The very thought probably makes you reach for your phone to check your Ring doorbell. But back then, the biggest security concern was whether you'd remember to put the milk bottles out for collection. The shift didn't happen overnight. It was gradual, creeping, until one day we all found ourselves living behind locked doors, security systems, and a general assumption that everyone's a potential threat. We gained security, but we lost something indefinable. That sense of community, trust, that made Britain feel like one big, slightly dysfunctional family. What was the last year you remember leaving your door unlocked during the day? 2. Sending children to the shops alone at age 7. Here's one that'll have modern parents calling social services. In the 1980s, sending your 7-year-old to the corner shop with a handwritten list and a £5 note wasn't child endangerment, it was Tuesday. Little Sarah would toddle off with her string bag, clutching a note that read, 1 loaf of bread, pint of milk, 20 embassy, and some sweets for Sarah, Mrs. Thompson. The shopkeeper knew every child in the neighborhood, their parents, and exactly what they were allowed to buy. No ID required for the cigarettes. If Mrs. Thompson sent you for them, that was good enough. These weren't quick errands either. Kids would spend ages choosing their penny sweets, chatting with the shopkeeper about school, and often running into friends who'd been sent on similar missions. It was social education disguised as grocery shopping. The controversial bit? We learned independence, money management, and social skills that no amount of supervised playdates could teach. We navigated traffic, dealt with strangers, and solved problems without immediately running to an adult. Try explaining that to a modern parent who won't let their 12-year-old walk to school alone. The corner shops knew this too. They were unofficial childcare centers, teaching kids to count change, say please and thank you, and occasionally providing a stern word when someone was being cheeky. When the big supermarkets killed off these local shops, they took with them an entire system of community child rearing. How old were you when you first went to the shops alone, and what did you buy? 3. Smoking everywhere, and I mean everywhere. Brace yourself for this one. In the 1980s Britain, you could smoke literally anywhere. Hospitals, schools, in the staff room, buses, trains, planes, restaurants, offices, cinemas, even some churches had ashtrays in the pews. Your doctor would light up while examining you. Teachers would smoke in the classroom during break time with the windows open. The non-smoking section on trains was a joke, usually just the last 2 carriages of a 6-carriage train, with smoke drifting through anyway. Office workers would chain smoke at their desks while typing reports. Restaurant meals came with a complimentary fog of cigarette smoke from neighboring tables. Even children's birthday parties at McDonald's had smoking sections, right next to the ball pit. The most surreal part? Nobody thought this was strange. Ashtrays were as common as light switches. Every pub, every cafe, every waiting room was equipped for the national habit. The air was permanently hazy and we just breathed it. Then came the gradual bans. First planes, then buses, then restaurants, then pubs. Each restriction felt revolutionary at the time. Now the idea of smoking in a hospital seems as archaic as using leeches for medical treatment. But here's what we lost along with the smoke. Those spontaneous conversations that started with "got a light," the social rituals around offering cigarettes, the designated smoking areas that became unofficial meeting spots. Love it or hate it, smoking was woven into the social fabric of British life. Can you remember the last place you saw someone smoking indoors? 4. Paying for everything in cash. No questions asked. In the 1980s, cash wasn't just king, it was the entire royal family. Credit cards existed, but they were for posh people and emergencies. Everything else was notes and coins, and nobody tracked a thing. You'd buy a car with the envelope full of 20s, pay your rent in cash, hand it over in person to the landlord. Weekly wages came in little brown envelopes, and you'd budget by literally dividing the notes into different pockets or jars at home. The beautiful simplicity of it all. No PIN numbers to remember, no contactless limits, no declined transactions. If you had the money in your pocket, you could buy it. If you didn't, you couldn't. Personal finance was literally that person. Market traders, taxi drivers, even some doctors preferred cash. Cash discount wasn't a suspicious phrase, it was standard practice. Nobody asked where the money came from or what you were buying. Privacy wasn't a luxury, it was automatic. Try living like that today. Buy a car with cash, and you'll trigger money laundering investigations. Pay your rent in notes, and your landlord will think you're running a drug operation. We've gained security and traceability, but we've lost the simple freedom of anonymous transactions. The psychological difference was enormous too. When you physically handed over notes, you felt the transaction. Money had weight, literally. Now we tap cards and watch numbers change on screens, disconnected from the reality of spending. Do you remember what it felt like to count out notes for a big purchase? 5. Hitchhiking as normal transport. Here's something that'll make modern safety experts faint. Hitchhiking was completely normal transport in the 1980s Britain. Students, workers, even families would stick out their thumbs and expect a lift from complete strangers. University students would hitchhike home for the holidays, standing on motorway slip roads with cardboard signs reading North or Scotland. Workers would catch lifts to job sites. Young people would hitchhike to festivals, beaches, anywhere really. It was free, environmentally friendly, and surprisingly reliable. The unwritten rules were simple. Drivers would size you up quickly and decide if you looked trustworthy. Passengers would offer petrol money and make polite conversation. Everyone understood the social contract. You were sharing a journey, not committing to a lifelong friendship. Lorry drivers were the backbone of the system. They'd pick up hitchhikers for company on long hauls, sharing stories, sandwiches, and sometimes even letting you sleep in the cab. These mobile communities created connections across the country that social media could never replicate. What killed it wasn't just safety concerns, though they played a part. It was the combination of cheaper cars, better public transport, and a gradual erosion of trust between strangers. The last generation to hitchhike regularly probably did so in the early 1990s. Now the very idea seems insane. We've created a world where getting into a stranger's car requires a smartphone app, background checks, and GPS tracking. We've gained safety, but we've lost the adventure of random human connection. Did you ever hitchhike? Where did you go and who picked you up? 6. Knowing everyone in your street. In the 1980s, Britain, your street wasn't just where you lived, it was your extended family. You knew everyone's name, their job, their kids, their problems, and their business. Privacy was a luxury nobody expected. Mrs. Wilson at number 12 would know if you'd had a row with your husband before you'd even told your best friend. Mr. Davies would fix everyone's bikes in his garage and never charge a penny. The Johnsons would organize street parties for the Queen's birthday, and everyone would contribute something. Children belonged to the entire street. If little Tommy was being naughty at number 8, Mrs. Peterson from number 15 would march him home and have words with his mother. If someone's teenager was playing music too loud, 3 neighbors would appear at the door within minutes. The gossip network was more efficient than any modern communication system. News traveled from house to house faster than wildfire. Someone's daughter getting engaged, a job loss, a new baby. The entire street would know within hours. But it wasn't just nosiness, it was care. When old Mr. Thompson had his heart attack, neighbors took turns checking on him, doing his shopping and making sure he took his medication. No social services required, no formal care packages, just human decency in action. The shift to privacy and anonymity happened gradually. People stopped sitting on their front steps, gardens got higher fences, We started driving into garages instead of parking on the street. Slowly, we became strangers living in proximity rather than neighbors living in community. Can you name 5 families who lived on your street in the 1980s? 7. Using public phones for everything. Before mobile phones, the red telephone box wasn't just iconic, it was essential infrastructure. Every important call in your life probably happened in one of these cramped, slightly smelly booths. You'd queue outside in the rain, clutching your 10-pence coins, waiting to make that crucial call. Inside, you'd feed coins into the slot, while trying to have intimate conversations with traffic roaring past outside. The receiver always smelled slightly of other people's breath, and the floor was usually sticky with something unidentifiable. But these weren't just communication devices, they were social hubs. You'd bump into neighbors, overhear dramatic conversations, and sometimes even make friends while waiting in line. The phone box was where teenagers arranged secret meetings, where business deals were struck, and where long-distance relationships survived. The ritual was complex. You'd dial the number, wait for the pips, then frantically shove coins into the slot before you got cut off. Running out of change mid-conversation was a genuine emergency. Everyone carried a pocket full of 10-pence pieces like ammunition. Emergency calls were free, but everything else cost money, real money that you could hear dropping into the machine. Conversations were precious because they were literally expensive. No endless chatting, no pocket dials, no constant connectivity. When mobile phones arrived, we gained convenience but lost something indefinable. Those forced moments of disconnection, the planning required for communication, the shared experience of public phone etiquette, all gone. What was the most important phone call you ever made from a phone box? 8. Shopping only during shop hours. Here's something that'll baffle anyone under 40. Shops had opening hours and they stuck to them religiously. No 24-hour supermarkets, no Sunday shopping, no late-night convenience stores. When shops closed, they closed. Monday to Friday, 9 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. Saturday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Sunday, absolutely nothing. If you needed milk on Sunday evening, you were out of luck until Monday morning. Bank holidays meant everything shut down completely. No exceptions. This created a rhythm to life that's completely vanished. Saturday morning was shopping time. Everyone would hit the high street together, creating a weekly social event. You'd bump into friends, catch up on gossip, and make a day of it. The half-day closing was sacred, usually Wednesday or Thursday afternoon. Entire town centers would become ghost towns as every shop pulled down their shutters simultaneously. Workers would use this time for appointments, housework, or simply rest. Sunday was genuinely a day of rest. Not by choice, but by law. Families would spend time together because there was literally nothing else to do. No shopping, no errands, just each other and whatever was on the 3 TV channels. The pressure was real, though. If you forgot something essential, you were stuck. No popping out for emergency supplies. You learned to plan ahead, to think about what you'd need for the entire week. When Sunday trading laws relaxed in the 1990s, we gained convenience, but lost that enforced downtime. Now we can shop 24/7, but we've forgotten how to simply stop. Do you remember what you did on Sunday afternoons when everything was closed? 9. Paying bills in person at the post office. Every month, like clockwork, you'd gather your bills and head to the post office to pay them in person. Gas, electricity, phone, rates, everything required a physical journey and a face-to-face transaction. The post office would be packed with people clutching brown envelopes and checkbooks. You'd queue for ages, chatting with neighbors about the weather and the rising cost of everything. The counter staff knew everyone's business. They'd remember if you were late with your electricity bill or if you'd had a particularly expensive phone quarter. This wasn't just bill paying, it was community theater. Mrs. Henderson would complain loudly about her gas bill while everyone nodded sympathetically. Mr. Davies would joke with the postmaster about his phone bill, usually astronomical because his daughter had discovered boys and long-distance relationships. The ritual was oddly satisfying. You'd hand over your bill, count out the exact change or write a check, get your receipt stamped, and walk away with the physical proof that you'd paid. No online confirmations, no email receipts, just a stamped piece of paper that went into a shoebox for safekeeping. The post office was the financial heart of every community. It's where you'd also collect your pension, buy your TV license, send parcels, and catch up on local news. The postmaster or postmistress was often the most informed person in town. When direct debits and online banking arrived, we gained efficiency, but lost these monthly community gatherings. Now we pay bills without thinking, but we've also lost touch with the actual cost of living and the shared experience of financial responsibility. Do you still have any of those old stamped receipts in a drawer somewhere? 10. Letting children play outside, unsupervised until dark. Summer evenings in the 1980s. Britain had a soundtrack. The sound of children playing outside until the streetlights came on. No scheduled playdates, no supervised activities, just pure, unstructured freedom. Kids would disappear after breakfast and only return when hunger or darkness drove them home. They'd build dens in wasteland, play football in the street, explore building sites, and create elaborate games that lasted for hours. The only rule was be home when the streetlights come on. Parents didn't know exactly where their children were, and they didn't need to. The assumption was that the community was watching, and it was. Every adult felt responsible for every child. If you were doing something dangerous, any grown-up could tell you off, and your parents would thank them for it. The games were epic in scope. British bulldog in the park, until it was banned for being too violent. Knock-a-door run across entire neighborhoods, building elaborate camps in woods that would probably be considered environmental damage today. These weren't just games, they were education in risk assessment, social dynamics, and problem solving. The controversial truth? We learned independence, resilience, and social skills that no amount of organized activities could teach. We also learned to assess danger, to look after younger children, and to resolve conflicts without adult intervention. Try explaining this to modern parents who track their teenagers' every movement via smartphone. The very idea of not knowing exactly where your child is seems like neglect now, but it was just childhood. What was your favorite place to play as?